changes that the world desires. Below are our social media handles.
Okay, so that's let's see. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen now. So that's about read. We can see that we're really poised at achieving great things, and we've already, this is the third month in the year, and we're going strong. We've had two amazing webinars, and this is the third one. So we're hitting the ground running. We're not wasting any time, and I'd advise that if you're part of this community, be ready to do the work, be ready to be part of all the activities, and it's of a certainty that you see a lot of difference. Okay, before I read the profile of our speaker, I'd like Coach to just give us, a warm motherly welcome before we proceed. Something to just, ginger us small. Coach.
Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone from wherever you're joining us from in the world. And yes, we're live. It's amazing to see you as always, Susan. Like every time I see you, I'm always like see growth when I look at where we're coming from. And thank you, Abidemi, for joining. And I think I'm saying quite a number of people. Today is going to be amazing. In Read, for those of you that came in earlier to see our profile, what we do is to change our mindsets. Because the difference between where you are and where you ought to be is just your mindset. Once you can change that mindset, your life is going to change. I've not been that vibrant on social media first quarter, and first quarter has ended. Let's see how second quarter would be. Now, I've not been vibrant on posting, but I've been vibrant on reading. And I see comments and the wailings and complaints of people. And I've just come to tell you, for those of you that are watching this webinar, those of you that would be watching the replay, I've been saying this thing and I can't stop saying it, that this is the best time to be alive. Number one, you have to start believing it. So please, can I see your comments in the chat room that this is the best time to be alive? Can I see that? Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to get it. This is the best time to be alive. Can I see it in the chat room? I'm not psyching you. I'm not saying things that would make you feel good. I'm telling you the reality of the times that you're in. Yeah, Bidemi, this is the best time to be alive. Bidemi, I hear you say that you're joining from Lagos and you want knowledge of remote job. In the times of our parents, things like this did not exist. Like a Christian by orientation. This is not a non-religious, so we always say it very emphatically, this is non-religious. Nobody is trying to change your religious orientation. We are all just trying to make ourselves better. But there's this part of an old ancient book that I love to read that says, see, angels were looking forward to days like this, as in, no be juju be this, that currently I'm in Plateau State, Susan is in Abuja, Bidemi is in Lagos, and we're all scattered around. Even the people that in Abuja have Kika in the UK, even the people that are in Abuja, they are not in the same place, that you can sit down and be conversing real time. Because one of the major problems that I see that we are focusing on in this generation is we are not looking at the advantages we have. We are concentrating on the perceived, I repeat, you are concentrating on the perceived disadvantage. And whatever you concentrate on, it grows, it multiplies. So when you keep thinking that, oh, I am disadvantaged for whatever reasons, you will not be able to see those advantages. You would not be able to leverage on those advantages. 3 years ago, one of those early webinars I was taking, I used to tell people that you cannot have a mobile phone and you will have data and you will be unfortunate. It's not possible. Like, I can't understand, I can't comprehend that concept. So if you're not well, our host will be joining us probably in the next 15 minutes, or the speaker, sorry. Before he joins, I want us to have balanced ourselves on limiting mindsets. That's what we do on Read. We take full ownership of our lives. By the time you are getting out of this webinar, your village people will not be your problem. You're going to sit down, you're going to be taking 100% ownership of your life. I don't care where you are. I don't care where you are listening to me from. The question is the advantages that are at your fingertips. Are you making good use of it? Now, I know that a lot of people say your environment is a limitation. And that is why I will tell you that this is one of the best times to be alive. In this current dispensation, in this time where we are in, your environment is no longer your physical residence. You can create your environment. The first thing, things happen 2 times. First in your mind, then physically. You must be ready to create your environment first in your mind. You must first define who you are. Some of those things I'm saying, for people that have not been following my teachings, would sound strange. Please take your time and go and listen to our old videos. I was reading about a woman, I think her name is Erlin or something, I'm not exactly sure of her name now, but through life, she launched a product, one woman, one product. Within 14 minutes, she has sold $1 million. Within 14 years. In 24 hours, she has done $3 million. One product. One product. Yes, Emmanuel, this is the best time to be alive. Companies that we are seeing and we are screaming about right now, we're not, if you look at them, if you do a trend of the past 10 years, those companies did not exist 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you cannot be talking about remote job. Our fathers, our mothers could not be talking about remote jobs because the technology to even support it was not there. But before you can talk about remote jobs, I will start asking you, and that is where the change of mindsets will be coming in. The speaker would be telling us different platforms, like, the guy is doing amazing things. Before you can play on a global stage, you have to be a global citizen. And I say these things with before I used to apologize, now with no sense of apology to anybody. If you're going to be serious and deliberate about your life, please mark my words. You can say I'm not saying plenty excitement things because this is a webinar. This is the end of Q1. That's the 3rd month in 2024 already. How many certifications have you gotten? How many trainings have you gotten? Nobody's dashing anybody money. You are being rewarded with the level of problems you are able to solve. So I tell people that, see, this is the best time to be alive, honestly. Because the more the problems, the more your opportunities to thrive. So what we are supposed to be looking out for is, how do we thrive in such a time as this? The whole world is in trouble, not just Nigeria. So we are talking about inflation, you're talking about devaluation, you're talking about hyperinflation, you're talking about hunger, you're talking about jobs. What are you doing to solve that problem? So let's do a bit of test. If you hear the name Martin Luther King, what comes to your mind?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I have a dream. I have a dream.
So please, on me, this is not just about me and Susan. I want this to be interactive. And if what I've been saying so far this good has been making sense, please, can I see MS? Let me talk like my friend Joyce. Can I see MS? It's making sense. Victor says gospel freedom fighter. If you hear Nelson Mandela, what comes to your mind? Is it only Michael that is following me? Okay, is it only Emmanuel that is following me? It's only Emmanuel that I can see that I say this is making sense. Is this making sense to anybody?
I think we have more making sense now.
Eunice, okay. So if you hear Nelson Mandela, what comes to your mind? Activist, freedom fighter. I like this. Emmanuel say correct, man. I love that. Okay. So if you hear Thomas Edison, what comes to your mind? Invention. If you hear Bill Gates, what comes to your mind? Computers. Awesome. Now, I love this. Please, this person that signed in with Readco 3, please, can you rename yourself? It says Billionaire Oyeji Cash. I love that. Now, all of these names that I've mentioned in different fields, yes, different things comes to mind for them. And those things that come to mind is actually the problems that they solved. And based on the problem they solved, two things. They gained relevance, and none of these men are poor men. I say that, or I did that to say this. The world would only remember you for the problem you solved. The world will only reward you for the problems you solved. The bigger the problem, the bigger the reward. Oh, ye Twitter titans, I've never seen anybody rewarded for screaming on WhatsApp status. What problem are you solving? What would you be doing that, and make it small, what would you be doing that the world is going to remember you for in the next 5 years? In the next 10 years, what would the world remember you for? Sorry, we are trying to wait for our speaker, and in that time, I don't want to waste your time. Let me just give us this presentation. I'm sure it's going to be joining anytime from now. This is going to help somebody. Sorry. I may need to off my camera. Okay. Camera is not, sorry. Okay, I'm sure you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
let's look at the world in the past. This is 1980. I actually did this, I did a bit of this research in the past week. So in 1980, how many people remembers President Ronald Reagan in America? Many people have heard of him. He was a former actor. He was the governor, and he now became the president of America. In 1980, and these were big events. In 1980, the US saw major boycotts in the Olympic. In 1980, this was very, 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 very huge. I was young then, but I remember all the big buahas. In 1980, this mount erupted. That was in the 80s. It's no longer in the news right now. These were the big events of the 80s. These were the big blockbusters in the 80s. We had the advent of the E.T., Back to the Future, Top Gun. I'm sure all these things is not ringing bell for you because I don't have old schools here. Some of you were not even born then. This was the fashion trend. That was when shoulder in their houses. Yeah. This was life in the 80s. This was the music trends and all of that. At least a number of us still came to meet Madonna. That's the woman that was like, see, for me to be happy, I need to be more popular than God. Yeah. Madonna was the big things. This is the 90s. We had the Hubble Space Telescope launched into orbit. East and West Germany, these were the big issues in those times. East and West Germany was reunified. we had Gulf War starts. Right now, we are talking about we are seeing that it is evolving and evolving and evolving. Mobile phones. That was when the advent of mobile phones came in. And guys, I hope you're following this history, because I'm playing this history to play things in your head to help you think. That ancient book that I said I read, it says that we do not focus on things that we see, because things that we see is temporal. If you cannot think far, if you cannot see far, the future would come and you will be irrelevant in that future because you're only focusing on today. Fortunately, unfortunately, that's the way most humans are wired. And that's why it's only 10 to 20% of people that succeed and transcend their generations. I remember as a child, my dad was not in the country and we didn't even have the conventional landline. Then I think you had less than 2 or 3% of Nigerians that owned landlines. So we're not among that small elite group that owned landlines. We'll go and sit and wait in neighbors' houses, the one person in our whole area, and we are waiting for him to call. Sometimes the phone will ring, sometimes it will not ring. In 1990 changed the face of communication as we know it. Emails, then you will have to write letter and wait. At best, you have a fax. But by the 90s, now how many people they write letter? When last you write letter and you post it? In the chat room, when last did you write letter and you posted it? Some of us, the jobs that our parents were looking for was post office jobs. So if you do not upskill yourself, if you are not relevant in today, tomorrow will come and you are going to be useless in that tomorrow. Hey, Habib is here. Tomorrow is going to come and you are going to be useless in that tomorrow. In 1990s brought the advent of search engines. And you can literally Google anything to see anything. It brought in e-commerce. And I'm ending with digital cameras. Kodak, there was a time, in fact, for people that know me, there's nothing I've not sold in this world. There was a time I was selling camera. Right now, if you are selling camera, I'm praying for you. Because how many people would buy your cameras? And your competitors, which is why you must have a total mind shift after this session. Your competitors are not the people you are seeing. Digital camera did not see, Kodak and all those traditional cameras, they did not see mobile phone coming. Now, everybody's phone is a camera. Your phone is a post office. You're sending emails, you're doing this, you're doing everything on a phone. So the question I want to throw to you, see, I just moved from the 80s to the 90s. So in fact, I've not even touched the next 20 years after. But I'm sure I've been able to put a trend in your mind that in the next 10 years, are you positioning yourself for the shift and the wave that is coming? Thank you very much, Susan. That is it from me. We got our speaker here.
Thank you very much, Coach. It was more than a motherly advice. It was like a stir up. Our speaker is here. Thank you for joining us. So right into it, I'll be reading his profile. I just read it out quickly. Habib is a dynamic force in the realms of ed tech, safety tech, and social entrepreneurship, driving successful and sustainable product initiatives that empower individuals and communities. As an expert group contributor to the birth of NITDA's 3 million tech talent initiatives, Habib played a pivotal role in shaping frameworks, strategies, research, and policies that are revolutionizing the tech talent landscape. His expertise and vision have been instrumental in fostering a thriving ecosystem for technological advancement and talent development. Beyond his contributions to the tech sector, Habib is deeply committed to uplifting vulnerable communities, leveraging his personal brand on Facebook. He dedicates himself to helping individuals undergo a paradigm shift that empowers them to take charge of their lives. Through various legitimate means, Habib guides and inspires others to achieve financial abundance, fostering a culture of empowerment and self-reliance. This is a loaded profile, and in fact, I'm so sure he's the best man to do the job today. With a warm welcome in the comment section, and a lot of shekere and dance, if possible, let's make welcome our guest today, Habib. Habib, thank you for joining. I can see the fire emoji. Excitement, please. Let's make the chat room buzzing so that he knows that we are ready and we've been waiting.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Thank you so much, Susan, for hosting me. Can you guys hear me? Kindly confirm if you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you all.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So today we are going to be looking into, how to get remote jobs, right? And I actually like this kind of topic because the way the economic situation is going, the way everything's are becoming kind of hard. People are beginning to look for flexibility. People are looking to look for options that won't cost them much, right? So I'm going to be sharing my screen so that we can just get started ASAP. Yeah. Hope I'm permitted to share my screen here.
And just confirm.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Can you go ahead? We can't see your screen yet. Okay, perfect.
Hey, I hope you guys can see it now. Right.
You're trying to share, still not up yet on my end.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, yes. We can see screen.
Okay. I think I should hide this. Sorry, let me just drag it somewhere. Yeah. Right. So can you guys see my screen? Can you confirm before we get started?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to be talking about how to get remote jobs today, and it's pretty much important for because I don't want to assume that everybody knows how or what remote job means or what remote work means, right? So it's pretty much important we actually look into how everything came about and the current situation we find ourselves in now, and why are people actually considering this kind of shift in work culture, right? So these are the things we're going to be discussing, right? We're going to explore how remote work triumphed and benefits of remote work and majorly finding remote job opportunities. Yeah. Hope my voice is not low, guys.
It's a bit low, but we can hear you.
Okay, so I'll try and raise it a bit. Yeah, so this is how remote work triumphs, right? Remote work is basically known as, telecommuting, right? You are not physically commuting to any, office, right? You're basically working virtually, working on your laptop or probably even on your mobile device, right? So, and this has actually been around for several decades, yeah. But it actually gained significant traction in recent years due to, various technological advancements and changing work trends, right? When we kind of like look back to what is it called? Like 15 years ago now, we can't compare, how advanced our technology are. Probably that time there was not even maybe Android 2, right? And now we have Android 10, we have sophisticated devices, compared to last 15 years. So these are what will I call it? These are an enabler for remote work to thrive. Right. Now the rise of internet, email, instant messaging, video conferencing, and collaboration tools in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, revolutionized remote work possibilities. Yeah. So this technology made it easier for workers to communicate, collaborate, and access work-related information. Now, when we're talking about these technologies, right, when we look at, WhatsApp platform, for example, when we look at email messaging platform, for example, or maybe Slack channel, or even Skype, right? So these are mediums where you can use to communicate with clients, where you can use to collaborate with your team members, where you can use to, checkmate what's to be worked on, right? So you can use it to access work-related information, and you actually know that, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. For us to achieve our business goal, at the end of everything, right? So, and these are what you can actually do from anywhere. So if either you are in Remoteco in Port Harcourt, or how they call it, or Owerri, maybe in a remote village, in as much as you can access internet, you can actually run that as if you're a remote worker, right? You can actually still work for that client based in maybe Netherlands, or maybe somewhere in the US, maybe San Francisco or California or wherever it is, right? And the person will not actually bother about where you are working, but how you work. Where you are working, where you work from is different from how you work, right? How you work boils down to your discipline as a remote worker, how you are able to collaborate effectively, communicate effectively with your team members, because when you talk about remote work, it's pretty much important that you know how to communicate well, and because you guys are not seeing yourself physically, right? So you don't just assume that I actually thought I told you yesterday that I was sick. So why are you not asking me now? So you need to ensure that you're not tired of, communication, right? So same thing goes for your clients as well. Now, millennials and Gen Z who prioritize flexibility and work-life balance, right, have entered the workforce in large numbers, right? I know we'll have been hearing about, oh, Gen Z, Gen Z, Gen Z, right? So their preferences, coupled with advancement in remote work technology, have challenged the traditional notions of work and led to greater acceptance of remote work arrangement by employers. Now, as an employer, if you actually probably you are looking to hire maybe a product designer, and a lot of applications you received are what is it called? Probably it's an hybrid role or something that requires you to be on site, right? So at some point you discover that, man, you are limiting your options, right? You can actually hire the best talent. Can you confirm if you can still hear me, guys? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
you're, yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
So as an employer, you can actually hire best talents regardless of where that person is actually situated or located, right? So that's why, a lot of Gen Zs, they are pretty much intelligent, they actually have, that, how will I call it, that smartness to get your work done, right? Probably, maybe it could even be in a lazy way, but at the end of the day, at least you get your work done. I mean, you achieve productiveness with what you have on ground, right? But if you are actually strict around, oh, I need you to always be on site, or this hybrid, we are no more using 2 days on site. So we now want to increase it to 3 days and 2 days, remote, right? So a lot of these arrangements, sometimes if you are not careful, you get to lose, your, how will I call it, your best employees, right? So it's pretty much important that even as employers, you pay attention to, the change in work culture. I mean, the shift has actually been happening. Right now, moving on to the COVID-19 pandemic that happened, we are aware of it around those 2020, which actually acted as a catalyst for remote work adoption in fact, on a massive scale, right? It actually took the world a pandemic for them to know that, okay, we can actually do a lot of things remotely, right? We know that, okay, there are some industries that can't fully operate remotely, probably maybe manufacturing industry, because obviously you can't, how will I call it? You can't package or, produce some things remotely, right? Except maybe the next couple of decades, maybe where there are robots, or maybe if that will be possible. But for now, we can't envisage that. Right. So it actually took us a global pandemic for us to know, for employers to know that, okay, oh, in as much as we want to keep this business running, we can actually work remotely and still get things done. Right. So now when you look at it now, a lot of them are, trying to, ensure that, okay, oh, our employees are back on site. There's no more remote work. Some people, in fact, some companies will cancel it, and before you know, they are back at it again. So, but people don't fully understand. In fact, some companies even confuse, hybrid type of work to remote work, right? Even you still see some remote job openings, and they will be telling you, oh, it's only US based. That's not remote. That's not the actual meaning of, I mean, um, what will I call it? Remote type of work, right? Because remote work generally, it encourages inclusiveness, inclusion, right? So now if you are saying, okay, it's only US based and you're calling it a remote job, right? So that means we are not fully acclimatized into it yet. But we pretty much understand that, there are different labor laws, or how will I call it? Yeah, labor laws, all these immigration laws and the likes that kind of like affect some of these things. And, it's still, a lot of those things are still in stages, right? So now, lockdowns and social distancing measures forced many companies to quickly transition to remote work to ensure business continuity. This abrupt shift demonstrated the feasibility and benefits of remote work to employers and employees alike. Right. Now, as a result of the pandemic-induced remote work experiments, many organizations have come to realize the benefits of remote work, including increased productivity, cost savings, access to a broader talent pool, and improved employee satisfaction and retention, right? There are a lot of researches that are ongoing whereby, they try to measure um, how satisfied your employees are based on the kind of work culture you run, and how are you able to retain them, right? So, and it's discovered that, for a lot of companies that actually welcome the remote type of work, they've actually been able to see that, okay, a lot of employees are satisfied, and, of course, they are able to retain them for longer time than the usual, way of work. Right now, moving on to the benefits of remote work. Okay, we all know that, okay, the flexibility is there, just like we explained earlier, right? Now, hope I'm not too fast, guys. Are you guys still following me?
Yeah, we're with you.
Okay. Now, talking about the flexibility, getting a remote job allows individuals to create a schedule that suits your lifestyle, which can lead to, better work-life balance, right? There's a reason why we call it work-life balance, because a lot of remote workers, when you begin to, start working remotely, you discover that, in fact, you even be working in the midnight when you're not supposed to work, right? So you should have, there are a lot of trainings, disciplines that goes into you being able to manage your work-life balance as a remote worker, right? So you should have that boundary, despite the fact that you can work from anywhere, work from home. There should be that boundary. You should know how many hours you are working per day. If it's 8 hours, or maybe you have a 40 hours per week job, that means that's 8 hours Monday to Friday. So you should know when to switch off your laptop and go and enjoy your life, right? Or have more time for your family. Now we have the increased productivity. Many studies have shown that remote workers are often more productive due to fewer distractions and the ability to work in environments where they are most comfortable and focused, right? So as a remote worker, you can decide to work. It's not even basically working from home, right? You can work from anywhere, okay? Because look at it now, a lot of countries are opening up remote work visas, for people like you to come, in as much as you have a verifiable source of income, right? So you can come and stay for maybe like 6 months, a year, or something that's even renewable, and even your income will not be taxed, right? So you can see that they actually want you to come explore their country, and at least add to their population, right? So a lot of benefits, right? So for you that can actually work from anywhere, that means there will be little to no distraction for you, because you are not, maybe even if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, right? It's only when you're at home that you have the liability of getting disturbed. Maybe your daughter or your son can actually come and say, Daddy, I want to change my pampers, or Daddy, I want to do this or that, right? So, but to a greater extent, there are fewer distractions. And when you compare it to a traditional workplace, it is still better, because, traditional workplace, there are a lot of office politics going on. During work hours, you see somebody coming from the admin section to go and meet someone in the sales and marketing team, and they start gossiping, a lot of things. Yeah. So moving on to, yeah, we still have some of the benefits here. It's actually cost saving. On the employer side, we are going to actually save a lot of money, in terms of office space, terms of running electrical costs, in terms of, a lot of things, right? So working remotely can lead to savings on even commuting expenses. That is for employees, right? Lunch cost and work attire, right? Ultimately saving money for employees. So if you're working remotely, in fact, you can, even if you have to go on stand-up call, maybe every Monday morning, you can decide to open your camera, you can decide to close it, right? It depends on what you want, except if the general policy is to, okay, everybody open your camera, you need to see your face, maybe it could actually be part of the work culture to create that bond, that bond, right? So it depends on the kind of company you work with, okay? So that's just it on the work attire. So either you're on a singlet, or maybe you're on your bed, in as much as you're able to communicate, yeah, majorly communicate what is it or what is not, right? So everybody's good to go. Everybody's good on the team. Right now, moving on to the expanded job opportunity. On my slide here, you're going to see this guy on a wheelchair with a laptop, right? So that's part of the opportunity remote work brings, right? So for someone like this now, this person will actually be keen on, trying to get in a remote job for himself, because obviously with his current condition or circumstance, he can't physically commit to, it won't be that easy for him to do that as others do, right? So for someone like him now, remote work or getting a remote job is a win for him, right? So it basically opens up job opportunities individuals who may not be able to commute to a traditional office setting, such as those in rural areas or with mobility restrictions, right? So people living in rural areas, it's not about, oh, they say that it's until I get to Lagos if I can make money till I get, yeah, right. So it can actually be somewhere in Enugu, or somewhere in Ghana or wherever you may be. and still, make impact on global businesses, work for global clients, right? So that's it on that. Are we still together? Are you guys still
Yes,
following me?
yes, sir.
Yes,
I'm only hearing one, two voices. I need to hear more voices, please. I think we have
We are
about
following.
21 participants on call. If you're following me, say yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
yes.
All right. So now we are moving on to this is more like the main business of the day, finding remote job opportunities, right? So there are a lot of ways to find remote job opportunities, different from the conventional way of, okay, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. Okay, go to this website, this and that. I mean, there are a lot of ways to get remote job opportunities. Is it on social media? Is it on Twitter? Is it on Facebook? Is it reaching out to key decision makers? Is it reaching out to, or even engaging in probably LinkedIn visibility challenges? There are a lot of ways to get remote job, right? And we shouldn't limit our options, right? Now, let's move. So this is just basically where to start from, for someone just, and I mean, for a newbie, right? So you need to first, this is how you first get started, right? So we have online job boards, right? Where, I know a lot of you will have heard about, some of these job boards, right? So they are not new, right? Take, for example, we have Flex Jobs, we have Remoteco. I specifically like Remoteco because, unlike other job boards that are specifically, spotlights all those core technical skill sets. You see them listing, oh, senior Java developer, 10 years experience, right? Actually like Remote.co because they have a lot of categories that even if you're a virtual assistant or executive assistant, right, you can still thrive. And that's really the truth, right? It's not until you are maybe what's it called, a data engineer or I mean cloud computing engineer before you can actually, at least earn decently as a remote worker, right? I've seen a lot of virtual assistants, executive assistants, even CRM specialists earning $1,500 per month, 2,500, and they're based in Nigeria. So, and I've also seen people earning $400, $500, even if it is $400, by the time you convert it, if you are based in Nigeria, by the time you convert it, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's more than 500,000 naira, right? And when you look at the income brackets for people that are actually working in Nigeria in general, the people that are earning 500,000 naira, like when you see the percentage, it's very, very, very small, right? So a lot of income are within like 50K, like maybe 150K, right? So before you start earning 500K, maybe um I don't know, maybe you are becoming a guy, or maybe it's just the company culture for them to I mean for them to pay their employees bigger money, right? So even if it's $400, it's not bad at all for a start. There's not even any $400, you not feel the impact in your life too as well, right? So it's not just to tell you guys that it's not until, oh, maybe you are um into the core tech aspect before you can actually work and earn remotely, decently, right? So Remoteco is one of the job boards that you guys can leverage for that, even if you're not into the core tech aspects, right? Same thing as we work remotely, okay? And LinkedIn remote job search feature, right? So LinkedIn have that particular remote job, search feature whereby you can actually streamline a job search, right? I actually like LinkedIn. It has a lot of feature, and it actually helps a lot of people in terms of getting remote jobs, right? Aside from this LinkedIn's job search feature, if you are skilled and you actually have, maybe you already have an ATS standard resume, you have your portfolio well intact, right? And your LinkedIn is also well optimized. You can actually go on LinkedIn and search for founders that are specifically hiring, And not just that, you can even target locations that have that high chances of considering you to work with them, even as an African, because for you to be based in Africa, a lot of those global employers, they kind of like doubt if you are able, I mean, if you'll be able to work with them, right? Because they understand that it's either, a lot of those people have actually been opportunity to work with people from Nigeria before. So, and they will begin to tell you that, are you sure you'll be able to work with us? Because the former person we hired, if she complained of power outage, if she complained of power outage today, tomorrow she'll complain of network, next tomorrow she'll complain of another thing. Maybe her daughter is sick, right? So this is just to quickly chip it in that as an African, you need to always put your best foot forward, right? To ensure that, you are not just only doing your best, but, on the long run, you are paving way for others to also thrive like you or even more than you, right? Because if you don't put your best foot forward, right, there's no how that kind of clients will want to hire people from Nigeria again, because he or she will already have that stereotype that, oh, people from Nigeria, they're always complaining of power outage, they're always complaining of bad network, or a lot of distractions on the background, right? So we need to always ensure that we are always cautious of that. That's why people don't just, it's just the way it is. But remote, if you want to actually get into working remotely, you need to undergo some training to help you work productively, right, as a remote worker. And you'll be shocked at some of the things you'll be seeing, and you'll be like, wow, so I didn't even take notice of this, right? So ordinarily, there should be a training on it, on how you can work productively for clients, and even how you can always change jobs to further increase your finances or your income at the end of the month, right? So a lot of those things are what we are still going to be looking at, right? So let's just proceed. Are you guys still following me?
Yeah,
Yes, we're following.
Yes, we are.
So now, moving on to the company's websites, right? You can research companies known for offering remote positions, right? And regularly check their career pages for job openings, right? So there are ways to always know companies that are remote first, right? I don't know if some of you guys might have seen such, I mean, that kind of post on Twitter, whereby people drop a Google Drive link that, okay, well, these are a list of, clients that often hire remote workers, that you can reach out to them. If you have a mail template, reach out to them, this and that, right? So a lot of those companies actually exist, right? And even if you go on Google, you can search for them, and there are some industries that have more of those kind of companies. Take, for example, Web3 industry, I mean, those crypto industry, right? So they're also one of the people, I mean, one of the industries that actually welcome remote workers a lot, right? So, and which other one? When we search on Google, you'll be able to see specifically those companies that are remote first, that hires remote workers from anywhere, right? You can see I made mention from anywhere, not just maybe people only based in US, Canada, right? So we have a freelance platform, right? And I know some of us will have also heard about Upwork, freelancer.com. We have Fiverr for project-based remote work opportunities, right? You see, this freelance platform, it's highly competitive, right? That's why me personally, I usually advise people, if you want to get started, you need to try a lot of options, right? Your first client might not be on Upwork. Your first client might actually be somewhere on Facebook or maybe on Twitter, okay? So, but if you are fixated on, oh, this Upwork, I must, fine, that's good. That's a go-get-it spirit, right? But you need to also ensure that you are trying other options. But before you do that, before you get on this platform, ensure that you are not just wasting your time. Why did I say that? Ensure that you are confident of the skill you have to offer, right? Don't just be a mediocre. Don't just be someone that, oh, people are doing data entry. I can do data entry. Try and upskill, always upgrade yourself. Be that confident, Try and know a lot of tools. If you are calling yourself a customer relationship manager or customer support officer, you need to ask yourself, how many CRM tools do you know how to deploy usage of? Right? And we have a lot of CRM tools. Talk about HubSpot, talk about Zendesk, Freshdesk. There are a whole lot of them. And when you even move to project management, we have a lot of PM tools, right? All those Asana, ClickUp, Monday, Jira, Trello. These are things you need to know because you want to go into the remote workspace. You're not just competing with people locally, you are competing globally. So you need to set the standard straight for you to be able to get that result that you want, right? So that's why I always advise people, if you're saying you are looking for a remote job and you are saying you're so and so, I need to ask you, okay, how many tools can you use as a PMP certified or whatever skill you already have? Okay, do you have a portfolio? Because take for example now, a portfolio is like a proof of work, right? So either you have a practical work experience before or you don't, you should still have a portfolio, right? Because if you want to have a portfolio and you don't have a practical work experience, right? You can actually, even if you are a data analyst or maybe an executive assistant, just assume that, okay, you actually hired as a data analyst in an healthcare company, right? You don't even need to know the name. You can even give it a name yourself. You can even call it your cocoa pharma industry, right? Nobody cares about the name. But what clients will actually care about is what you actually did for that cocoa company as a data analyst or as an executive assistant, right? So if you're calling yourself, let's say, okay, even if you're an executive assistant, right? You need to show that, okay, you are able to manage, some C-level executives, appointments, maybe you are managing their, what's it called? Their travel itinerary, or how do they call it? So you need to be able to showcase that. You need to be able to have a screenshot of Google Calendar that, okay, oh, this was what I did then, and the screenshot you just have as proof. I'm telling you, if you're actually showing it to a client that needs you for that particular thing, the person will consider you, right? So having a portfolio is very key in the remote workspace. You need to always increase your chances of getting hired, right? To do what others are not ready to do so that you'll be able to get the results that others will not be able to get easily, right? So a portfolio is pretty much important. Even on Upwork, there's a particular section whereby you can actually upload your portfolio. So portfolio to me, I see it as something that is very much important than even a certificate, because a certificate, fine, you're showing me, okay, it's from a credible source, right? Fine, you've been assessed correctly, right? But it still boils down to, will you be able to perform some of these duties? It's until I try working with you before I, as an employer, will be able to know that, okay, truly, I like the way you work and I like your output, right? So, and it can also be vice versa, like it can also be the opposite. Okay. I hope you guys are still following me.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you guys should note it. You need to ensure that you are you are confident of your skill sets, right? People are getting remote jobs. Yes, people are getting remote jobs daily. But when you look at those people getting it, even on our own platform, at Remote Africa, the success we record so far are people that are consistently utilizing what they have been taught, consistently using or utilizing the remote job resources they've gotten so far, right? The word consistently needs to be there. Can't just apply today and maybe in the next time you apply is next week or next 3 weeks. And at the end of the day, you're coming that you don't, I've tried, I didn't get a remote job. You're not serious. Because when you look at people that are actually getting these things, if you ask them for their story, they will tell you. And, while listening to that story, you see that consistency in it. There's no how you are going to see that consistency in it, right? So it's something that we need to do more intentionally. right? Not just jump on Upwork platform and say, oh, people are getting a remote job, and you get on Upwork as a beginner, you have not even started seeing any gig. You're applying to jobs and you're putting $20 per hour, right? And someone that have actually been getting maybe gigs there is still using maybe $5 per hour. Some of those strategies are what we need to consider, right? That $20 per hour is too high, right? So if you actually go through, what you're supposed to know, you'll be able to know that okay, this is how to get started. Because take for example now, I'll use Upwork as a major example now here. You see on Upwork, over time, a lot of employers prefer hiring people from Philippines, right? In fact, you see a lot of job descriptions, and when you look at location, instead of global, it should be showing global, right? Or maybe from anywhere, you see them putting Philippines, right? Because Philippines, those Filipino guys have great work ethics. Honestly, I've been opportunity to work with a lot of them, right? There was a particular time where those was when I actually just get started as a VA, but I have that project management experience, right, and WordPress experience during those times, right? So I actually utilized it to work for a web agency based in San Diego, and I think the time zone then was EST, so it's like 6 hours behind our own time in Nigeria, right? It's actually one of the cool thing about us here in Africa. A lot of time zone aligns with us here because that EST now, they are active. Their active hours is usually maybe anything from after 3, 4. So if you're the type that you don't have a particular job you are managing, maybe on site, by the time it's at 4, 5, at least you have closed now. So you can easily switch and start working for that particular person. So that was what I did majorly then, right? So, and during those times, what I was doing majorly was, there are a lot of web design projects with a lot of codes because we have codes for each of those web design projects. So I was majorly in between, reaching out to, what is it called? Reaching out to clients to update them as regards their web projects, right? But I will have ensured that, okay, as myself, as a VA, that I actually find myself in project management role, I will need to also test it first before reaching out to clients so that it won't be as if our work is just fluff, right? It won't be nice for maybe a developer to tell you that, oh, I've actually uploaded this thing on the website, the menu button is working, this and that. And without testing, you now go and tell the client via maybe Skype now or maybe Slack that, okay, Mr. Amen, you can actually check this thing is working. So you can imagine the disaster that will happen if that kind of client is maybe someone that his head is not even normally correct, right? So there's no other person will bring another gig, some other time again, right? So those are one of those things. So basically, I was working collaboratively with a Filipino guy. We are working in the same room, but due to our time zone difference, I'm the one that always, start working when he's supposed to be asleep, right? And that guy is the best, in fact, the best, but the most preferred employee for that particular client, right? Because it's always there. Sometimes when you're supposed to be asleep, the client will actually message you and will still respond, right? So you begin to wonder, how many, is it that you don't sleep at all, or what exactly? How are you coping with all this, right? And you see those Filipino guys, they are ready to charge lesser and they're ready to work longer hours than you, right? In fact, if you work 40 hours per week, you know that it's not easy. 8 hours per day, sitting on your desk. Sometimes you just need to stretch your legs. Maybe on another day, you just be like, oh, I can't work from home today. Let me just go to a workspace hub, right, to go and work, right? So a lot of those things, those Filipino guys have great work ethics, and you know, it's beginning to seem as if they are taking up the space, right? That's why I say, as an African or as someone from Nigeria, we need to always put the best foot forward, right? So that at the end of the day, we won't. There was a particular point in time, it was all those Indian guys. But now, those Indian guys now they don't just show clients shaggy. So now it's the spotlight now is on Filipino guys, right? So that's just it basically. Let's move. Okay, so this is just additional tip. I've actually mentioned it earlier. You need to have an ATS standard resume or remote friendly resume, right? And cover letter is not every job description that asks for cover letter, right? And there's sometimes that you need to actually add it so that it will show your intentionality as regards how bad you want that job, right? So you need to highlight your remote work experience. If you have previous remote work experience, you need to emphasize it prominently on your resume and cover letter to demonstrate your ability to work independently. Now, for people that maybe they're already on Upwork on this call, you discover that so there are some job descriptions that are on Upwork that you get to see. I mean, the client will actually ask you that question, that how is it how many hours per week, or I mean, have you worked remotely before? So they are trying to know if you have actually worked remotely before to know, how you did it or how productive you can be when you start working with them, right? That's why even as a Nigerian, when writing out your proposal on Upwork, you need to emphasize on that aspect too, because some of them already have that stereotype. I need to emphasize that I promise I'll be able to do your work diligently, and I actually have an alternative source of power. I have an alternative source of data connection. In fact, I will tell them I have two laptops or two monitors, or how do they call it? Just to further clear the air or clear whatever stereotype any clients might have, right? So, and it is you affirming that might actually pave way for you, right? So now you need to showcase relevant skills. You need to tailor your resume and cover letter to highlight skills such as time management. These are soft skills actually. And communication is there, self-motivation, which are essential for remote work success. A lot of these soft skills are underrated, right? We are always focused on the hard skills, right? You see, if you don't have, if you don't know how to communicate well in the remote work space, or with your clients rather, you have issues, right? If you are not going to be available for a particular call, or if you're not going to be able to do a particular thing, it's very much important to inform your client on time, right? So that client will be able to maybe assign that particular task to another person that you guys are working, in the same team, right? Because if you don't communicate it, you don't know what might be at stake, right? And even you might even get fired, right? If you have a project manager there, the project manager might even get fired, right? Because some of the work of the project manager is to also ensure that, okay, whatever thing that needs to get done or whatever timeline you guys are managing, the project manager is someone that should be accountable for it, right? So the project manager should be able to, know what's up with every of the team member. Okay, are you working on tasks? Do you have any challenges or whatever it is? Okay, kindly state it on the Trello board or, whatever tool you might be using. Okay, I hope you guys are following me. Can you guys see, hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Yes,
Yes,
we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
okay. So now, you need to demonstrate results, right? Use quantifiable achievements and results to showcase your past contributions and demonstrate your value to potential employers, right? You see these results is pretty much important, and that's why a lot of people actually pay to maybe HR professionals to help them get their resume done because there are some kind of like you need to use I think you need to use actionable verbs instead of passive voice, kind of, if I'm correct. So you need to ensure that you are demonstrating, you are using something that is quantifiable so that if an employer is reading, okay, what you've done, maybe as a product manager or project manager, he or she should be able to know maybe how you've been able to help that particular company to, save costs, in terms of their budget or maybe their financial stuff, right? You need to be able to show quantifiable results as regards how well you have been able to achieve projects within specific timelines and without any flop, and increase customer satisfaction. So all of those things are pretty much important for it to be highlighted on your resume, right? Now we have the interview preparation and strategies. Okay, you see this interview preparation is also very important. It's one thing to get into the interview stage, it's another thing to get dropped off. Uh, from the interview stage and you not getting the job offer, right? That's where you know that, okay, that means I still have one more step to go. Okay. Right. So basically if you are preparing for any interview, you know, for any remote company, you need to ensure that a lot of things in place. You need to ensure that even if you I mean that's why um it's very much important. I mean that's why you need to always have a lot of options, especially as a Nigerian, right? You don't need to have reliance on one network. Take for example, I think a couple of weeks back or either 2 weeks back, we had this network outage. So MTN was down, SR was down, Blue was down, and I think people were saying, "Oh, I think Airtel is still working." So for a lot of us that probably you need to attend a particular live class or you need to jump on call with clients, right? So you begin to start battling with, oh, what's wrong with this network, this and that. And people that are not from Africa will not really understand what's going on, right? The only thing that they understand is that you are fucking up, right? They can't hear you. They're just saying, hello, hello, can you hear me? Can you see my screen? And whereas the network has not allowed, has not yet populated your screen for every other person to see it, right? So you need to ensure that you have different options, right? There is no chance to fuck up at all. So if you're having an interview, you need to your technical setup, test your internet, your webcam, microphone, and any necessary software to ensure a smooth virtual interview experience, right? So for if you're having that interview, in fact, it's always advisable you open your webcam because it's remote work now. I don't have opportunity to see you physically. So, but at least I want to hire you as an employer. I want to hire you. I need to even see what your face look like, right? I need to know who's behind, your Upwork headshot or how will I call it, right? So because sometimes there are a lot of scams that actually go on, especially from people that maybe they are already overwhelmed and they are still using their profile to keep applying for a job. So by the time they ask for interview now, they'll be looking for someone to appear physically, right? So a lot of those things happen in the remote workspace. So you need to ensure that okay, you're able to open your webcam, get a quiet place to attend that particular interview and you need to install any necessary software to ensure there's a smooth virtual interview experience, right? You need to practice virtual communication too. Practice speaking clearly and confidently in virtual settings, right? You see that confidently is very important. See, even if you don't have any experience or any remote work experience, or even if it's not remote work experience, you don't have any experience at all, you need to have that confidence, right? And it's something I expect, you as a Nigerian or someone from Africa to already have, because you need to sound confidently. No employer, you hardly see an employer that is ready to hire someone that is maybe, okay, oh, I'm open to learning, or okay, I'm just learning this. In fact, if you know locally that, okay, we are a fast learner, okay, if they're asking maybe a particular tool, can you use it? And you know that if you get on YouTube within 30 minutes, you are going to get it. Say it confidently that yes, you can use it. But the cons to that is that everything has pros and cons. You might be on interview and the client will just tell you, okay, can you share your screen and show me how, that actually happened to me at the initial stage when I started to, it was actually a crypto company. They're into investment, managing investors' portfolio and creating all those tokens and the likes, right? So I already started the interview. I think I was at the third stage. So I met with director of projects management, right? So and the person was like, okay, I need you to the first person asked, can you use this particular tool? I think that was it Jira or Monday, right? So I said yes, of course I can. Because at that point I am pretty much sure I can use Asana, Trello, ClickUp, like three, and all of them have something in common, right? So I just told him, yes, I can use it. So he now said, okay, just can you just quickly share your screen and let me know how I can, if I'm coming to this particular board, at a glance, how will I know what is going on in every department at a glance without necessarily checking it one by one? And I was like, wow. So I was looking at, come on, where that kind of feature fit do. So, but the Nigeria hustler spirit in me then was like, you can check it via here. And truly, I was also illustrating, okay, you can check it via here. But at the end of the interview, I knew that I didn't get it quite all right. That's why I said you guys need to you need to ensure that you have all the skills required, right? You don't just go into it anyhow. Fine, as at that point, I actually know like three tools very well. But that kind of question that the director asked me, I was kind of dumbfounded, right? So after the call, it was just for me to go to a particular menu option, just like 2 clicks is what I find it hard to get at that particular point in time because I didn't even expect that. Or for someone that is already experienced, and they have a lot of projects that they're currently handling. I think say they are handling about 55 projects, different crypto projects. So, and then that kind of feature is pretty much important to them for them to at least know at a glance, okay, this is what is going on here, this is the current progress, this and that, right? So some of those things you need to know it. You need to practice speaking clearly, sound confident in virtual settings, and also don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. You need to know, like you know how to use initiative now, right? And yeah, remote interviews often rely heavily on verbal communication, right? When you jump on an interview, the employer will assess you from how clearly you speak. And if at the time they'll be like, I can't hear you, can you come again? Because some of those clients, you might find it hard to even hear them, correctly. I mean, being the first time now, but as time goes on, you get accustomed to it, right? So they'll assess you based on how you're able to get them correctly and how clearly you speak to as well, your tonation, you know, your tonation too. You don't need to overdo it too, because English is not our mother's tongue, right? So we need to ensure that you just speak, I mean, clearly to your best of your capability, right? If it requires you that you speak slowly so that the person will be able to hear you correctly, then you need to do that, right? You don't need to speak clearly, or you don't need to start forming accents when you do. Now, moving on to the prepare for remote specific questions, right? So you should be ready to answer, questions about your experience with remote work, how you handle communication and collaboration remotely, right? And how you maintain productivity outside of a traditional office environment, right? So sometimes you might get asked this kind of questions, and I mean, sometimes you might even see them on Upwork, like how do you handle communication with clients, or they'll just ask you this kind of question specifically, how do you handle communication, right? So you need to know how to answer that as regards, okay, maybe I'm familiar with Skype and Slack, and I understand that, okay, I need to first understand what, it actually depends on the job description, right, in relation to that question. So that's where you get to know, okay, maybe I need to first understand the client's pain point so that I'll be able to communicate it effectively to any of the C-level executives or the project manager so that he or she can assign that particular task to, you know, um, it's the person that's supposed to work on that particular thing. Yeah. So guys, at this point, I hope you guys get me to this point. If you actually get me to this point, say yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yes, Susan.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Other people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
all right, guys. So, we have actually gotten to the end of it. So, just to have a recap, so that you won't miss the key points out of all the things I've said, because I know I digressed a little bit. So, you need to ensure that in terms of getting a remote job, ensure that you are confident about your skill sets. And when I talk about you being confident, you need to ensure that the kind of skill set is what actually attunes with the global standard. Let's just assume, okay, maybe you find yourself in US or UK now. right? What they are leveraging to work effectively there, might be totally different from here, right? They might be using a lot of tools to make their work easier or to optimize their workflow processes, or you might not be aware of it. Maybe you are just used to the traditional process. So that's why you need to upskill. Even as a project manager, there's still need for you to upskill, that be well updated or some knowledge. So aside from you being confident of your skill, you need to ensure that you have you are also confident on your resume, the resume you put out there. But if you're not careful, right, you just see that you keep applying and nothing is coming. That means there's something wrong. So for you not to waste your energy, just ensure those things are in place, right? Ensure that okay, you're able to create a portfolio. You creating a portfolio now, you can actually host it on even Canva, right? You can host it freely. When people ask you for a portfolio, just send it to them. Okay, oh, this is my portfolio, Susan dot so at mycanva.site, right? And when they go to your portfolio, they'll be able to read about a general overview as regards what you do, the kind of services you offer, your past work experiences, your certificates, and how to contact you, right? So that's where you input your email, your WhatsApp number, your LinkedIn link, profile link, because obviously LinkedIn is a professional career platform that we can always use for this kind of things, right? So you can decide to host your portfolio on a website, or you can decide to have it in a PDF format, anyone that works. You can even decide to, put it on Google Drive and share the link. Just ensure that it has an open access, right? So aside from that, ensure that your LinkedIn profile is well optimized. So, and if you can join LinkedIn challenges, in fact, you need to do that, because a lot of time we've seen people getting jobs on LinkedIn, and those jobs comes with high pay, because when you compare it to platforms, I mean talent marketplaces like Upwork or Fiverr or whatsoever it is, you discover that the pay are always higher, because for a client to come on Upwork to drop a particular job post, you know, before you know, like 50 people like you have submitted proposal to. So at the end of the day, if the client is saying that okay, about 10 people seem to be qualified for this kind of particular task I want to carry out, to now still boil down to who is charging competitively, like who is charging, what is the barest that anybody is charging here. That's where you get to see people be charging like maybe $3.3 or $4 per hour, right? So you that you are qualified and you're charging maybe $10 per hour, you might not even get that job. That's just to tell you some of the strategies involved in it. So if you are using Upwork, for example, and you want to get results, right, ensure that you are starting with the PRS. Ensure you are starting with $3 per hour, and start running your proposal that way. You see that you have high chances of getting response, right? So that's just how those Filipino guys, that's how they gain entrance, because when you're able to get that job, you can always negotiate your pay now. But the best thing is that at least you have been able to get your foot in. You have been able to prove yourself beyond doubt. Yeah, I mean, when you begin to start, I mean, when you start working with that particular client and you start receiving appraisal, oh, thank you for that. Oh, thank you. Oh, that was so intentional. Oh, that was so cool of you. That's how you take, I mean, that's some of those things you use to enter those clients. Okay, oh, can we consider a pay raise? Maybe, okay, you're charging $3 per hour. Well, tell them to raise it to like $5, $6 per hour. Then that's how you move from there, right? But if you are charging higher, yeah, there's no way you can get your foot in first to even prove yourself, or to even charge higher than that again. So those things are strategies. So once you ensure that um you know how to do it, that's when I mean, that's when you begin to get results, right? So, and don't neglect LinkedIn. LinkedIn, join challenges. We also on our part we run LinkedIn challenge, and it's actually a way to what is it called? Showcase your professional skill set and how it can actually drive business growth. You need to always know how to relate your skill set in terms of it helping any industry drive their business growth, right? So it's very much important, because some of those clients might not know. Take for example, now if you know how to generate leads now, some of these clients might not know that, oh, this generation is something that is very, very okay for, I mean, for them to add to their sales and marketing processes, right? Or maybe you could call in or set an appointment, right? So it's when you showcase those things on your profile, I mean, on your profile, when you talk about those things, that these clients will be able to reach out to you that, okay, I think I need this particular service. Can I hire you? Right. So some of those things what we need to also indulge in for us to get that remote job that we want, right? So, and on LinkedIn, you don't just connect with other people. You need to ensure you are connecting with key decision makers. When I talk about key decision makers are people like founders, co-founders, CTO, CFOs, right? Not just HR or talent acquisition specialists. Fine, those ones too are also viable options. But why you need to connect to key decision makers is simply because these people, they have, when it comes to decision-making processes, it's always shorter with them, right? If you're a founder of your business, you actually know what you need to work on, right? What is actually causing, challenges. I mean, what is actually causing some blockages or handholding some things in your business that you need to free off, right? So you need to ensure that those key decision makers are the people you are connecting with. Once you connect with them, it's not even necessarily you send them messages as first instance. Let them just accept it. Then you intentionally keep posting about your skill set and how it attunes with helping a lot of these guys drive their business growth, right? So you need to be cautious of the location too as well. There are locations that you can target. You can target locations like Netherlands, Estonia, even Saudi Arabia. Those Saudi Arabia, they get money because for them to even hire, what is it called? They're able to afford Ronaldo, for Ronaldo to go to Saudi Arabia to go and play ball, you know what it means. So those guys have money, right? And they actually hire a lot of Africans, yeah. So those Estonia, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Netherlands, those are, instead of bombarding US, everybody want to work with the US company, right? So these are places that we can actually focus on. You search for founder, we're hiring on your LinkedIn search bar, and you get to see a lot of those founders. You actually niche it down to location specific, and these are people you need to connect with, right? You can actually be connecting with them maybe five per week, five connections per week, so that it won't be as if it's a robot process, because LinkedIn always ban people's accounts as well, right? So those things are step-by-step process, and when you begin to reap the fruit of it, then you'll be overwhelmed, right? So that's just it basically, guys, and I hope you got value this evening. Thank you guys for listening. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It was really, really insightful. Thank you very much. Please, in the comment section, can you please appreciate our speaker? If you got value this evening, please appreciate our speaker. Yes, the thank yous are rolling in. Thank you very much, Habib. Now we're going to do question and answer session. So before we started the conversation, we asked that to prepare your questions. So we've had such an inspiring session. It's been more than about 1 hour. And so we have questions. So if you have questions, you have the opportunity to unmute your mic and ask your questions directly. So let me check. Well, first you have to raise up your hand or put in the chat box so that we can take it in an orderly manner. Do we have questions, please? No, thank you. I remember as our speaker was talking, I remember when there's this job I think I'd seen on Freelancer. I can't remember what platform I used, and it was all good until I got a notification from them. Oh, sorry, we do not take applicants from Nigeria. Of course, we know the very obvious reason: slow network. Either there's one excuse or the other. So there are some things that maybe, for example, you have tried some platforms, maybe you don't know how to go about it, or you feel like you're not a Gen Z, you feel like you're out of place, you feel that remote work is very techy. Now is the time to ask the questions. I'm not seeing questions, I'm not seeing hands, except we don't have questions. Are we good to go? Okay. Sorry. Ifi Malik has a question. So can you unmute yourself and please ask a question? Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're very audible. Good evening.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to the READ community. Thank you, Coach Itunu. Thank you for organizing and putting this together. I also want to say thank you to Habib for the session. Okay, this is an interesting session for me in particular. I've been talking with my friends about remote jobs and all of that recently. So while he was teaching, I heard him say things like create a portfolio, okay, and apply. And he gave example of some sites where you could check in and all of that. So I have a question. I've heard about Upwork before, and I've heard about this remotework.com and all of that. And I've tried to access those places. I found out that there are payments that one has to make to gain access, kind of. So I want to know, is it normal, or is it what should be done? Should we make payment to gain access to these sites or to gain access to this community or something? What can one do exactly to really, and like Susan said also, I've also seen some places they would say they don't take, they bounce back. But I see people who are really doing it and it's working. So what exactly is it that is not working? Is it that those people made payment to gain access, or because like Upwork, I know I've heard Upwork, there's this Upwork lady I'm connected to on LinkedIn. You have to make payments for you to gain access and all of that. So the same thing with remote, Habib also mentioned. So, right, are we supposed to, I just want to know.
All right, thank you for your question. Habib, did we get the question?
Okay, yeah. I understand some of those boards actually ask for payments, example flex jobs. Or I'm not sure of Remote.co. I think Remote.co doesn't ask, and then we work remotely. So, but if it requires you to make payment, you can make payment to get all you want actually. And if it doesn't fit into what you want going forward, you can, stop the subscription you get. So that's basically what you need to do. And some of
Okay.
these jobs too, you even get to see them on Twitter. A lot of remote jobs have been posted on Twitter too as well. So and some of them are not yet on any job board, right? So which you can actually apply to from there. But if it requires you to make payment, then you should do that to get what you want. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question. Hope your question was answered, Ifi Malik. Thank you, Habib. I have a question, pending when I get more questions. So there are a lot
Hello,
of
sorry, Susan. Sorry to cut in. Esther is asking, can we drop questions here? Esther, you can either unmute
I
yourself
think
to ask your questions, so you drop it.
yes, please, Esther, you can go ahead if you have a question. Okay, so I'll go ahead with my question pending when Esther responds. So we have a lot of remote job offers. We see a lot, I see a lot on LinkedIn, I see a lot on Twitter, I see a lot everywhere now, and remote job is the way to go. Now, would I say, are there fields or areas that, especially with the way the workspace is going in 2024 and beyond, there are some jobs that are standing out and some jobs that are really falling back? Would you, Habib, this is asking, what fields should one who wants to stand out in today's world and be global look at focusing right now? People are scared of, oh, AI is taking people's jobs, those kind of things. So what areas should I go into? Data analysis, what should I focus on right now?
Okay, thank you for that question, Susan. The thing is, the AI wave that we're currently experiencing now, there are a lot of controversies on it. Either AI is here to take over our jobs or is here to enhance it, right? But I usually tell people, AI is just here to enhance, our productiveness. It's here to enhance the way we do our work, right? Now, you know, let me give you an example. Canva as a tool is a tool that has actually been evolving over the years. Now with Canva, you can even build a website with Canva, right? And you transfer it to your domain, and you'd be like, wow, did you actually get a developer to do this for you, right? So a lot of these tools are leveraging AI, right? So if you are looking for what's it called, a niche to get focused on, you can actually look into data related stuffs, data related skills to acquire. No, that actually ranges from data analytics to data science, data engineering, because this serves as a foundation for, AI related industries, right? So because obviously there's one thing that there's a particular tag for that analytics guys use, that your data cannot lie, right? Except you want to listen to another thing. So if you're actually confused, you need to listen to your data. So data is, everything is data now. In fact, data is influencing healthcare, is influencing every industry right now. So it's actually a lucrative stuff to look into, right? But not necessarily jeopardizing, or maybe us not still looking at the fact that the same company that actually requires, those kind of skill sets, they also need people that will be on their marketing team. They also need people to manage the C-level executives, appointments, and the likes, right? So that is just it about it. So it's just basically here to help us become more productive and help us, shorten our time. Right. Take for example now ChatGPT. Now, if you go on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT some things, you know, some of those things that you get in maybe less than a minute are things that will take you maybe 2 days, 3 days to, if you're using Google, because Google will obviously give you different website, and you need to keep opening new tab for you to get all your research done. Right, but within less than a minute, ChatGPT will give. Even you can even write a proposal with ChatGPT, right? You can write a lot of things with ChatGPT. Even cover letter you can write with ChatGPT. I usually tell people that ChatGPT is like a robo mentor, a robot mentor. If you have any question, you can always ask ChatGPT and you get answer. That's just it. And how is ChatGPT being able to give you an answer in less than 1 minute? Is because it has a large aggregated number of data that is currently leveraging on. So it basically just skim through and just give you what you want in less than 1 minute, right? So that is just it basically. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. It does. And a couple of things, even while you were speaking, answer a lot of questions I had before now. I felt, for people who feel, look, I'm not so techie, I don't know how to go about this remote work thing, you get different options,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, apart from the platforms and all that. And then one thing I know you really stressed on was upskilling.
Yeah.
I think that for a couple of times I would say send it out applications to be I write and I want to get say good job. I send out my CV and I don't even get a response. And as you were speaking, it kind of dawned on me that a couple of times because our portfolios either we do not have portfolios or our resumes do not stand out. That's what stops us from getting these jobs. So I know you had mentioned about having standout resume and portfolios, but do you have additional tips? Because it's really super competitive. I remember, in fact, by the time you're seeing a job drop, you're seeing over 500 people, 50 people. I'm like, how do we stand out from this pool that is really increasing? So do you have like extra tips on, okay, say, if you're a graphic designer, for example, and you see a graphic job drop and you really desire to have this job, how do I stand out apart from going to say connecting with say the founder or having what can we do exactly to really stand out in our applications?
All right, thank you for that question. Yeah, so you see, in terms of standing out, what that basically means is that you need to do what others are not ready to do so that you'll be able to get that results that you want. Right now, when you look at all the things I made mention of, in terms of the ATS standard resume, a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people don't even know if it's ATS standard that they have or not. They just know that they keep applying and they're not getting responses. And these are the same numbers of people adding up to those applications that you're actually talking about. There's a particular person looking for executive assistant on Twitter, I think, was it 3 days back? And he said he received about 5,812 applications for EA. At the end of the day, right, he was saying that, okay, people that sent, sent in mail without a subject disqualified. People that sent in, okay, dear sir, or hello, the hiring manager, this and that, okay, disqualified. People that didn't attach their resume disqualified. So at the end of the day, he was able to get 20 solid people out of about 5,212. So you can imagine that number, and at the end of the day, what he was able to get through at the end of the day. So that basically means that we need to be more intentional about it. That's why I said you need to be confident about your skill sets. You need to ensure that your resume is ATS standard, and you have a well-optimized LinkedIn profile. Right. So these are things that actually set you apart, because it's not everybody that have it. If I'm to ask everybody on this call now that how many of you have a portfolio, right? Out of 30 people, maybe we might have like 5 or 10. Now, if I'm to now look into, maybe I want to do like a portfolio appraisal now. So it might be like, okay, it's only 2 people or 3 people that get it correctly, right? As regards what is supposed to be on the portfolio, or the kind of how they showcase their past work experiences, right? So this is something that is evident around us, and it's something that we know, okay, if we actually want to get a different result, we need to do something differently. Now, for that graphics designer, now a lot of graphic, if you want to hire a graphic designer now, you might not really be bothered around if the ATS is actually, I mean, if the resume is actually ATS compliant or ATS standard. What you'll be bothered about majorly is the portfolio, right? Now, as a graphics designer now, you need to ensure that, okay, you have a portfolio across different industry, right? Not just be portfolio is something you always keep updating, right? Either you have work or you don't have work, right? So if you have a portfolio now that's under maybe the real estate niche, or let's say prop tech rather, or maybe fintech, right? So you need to ensure that, okay, you're able to have another portfolio under maybe edtech, or you're able to have another portfolio under maybe healthcare, right? So that at the end of the day, any clients that might actually be viewing that portfolio might be from one of these industries, and you might just actually tick all the boxes and you get hired. All right. So it's basically you ensuring that as a graphics designer, you have a strong portfolio that cut across different industries, right? And you also need to keep upskilling, right? Graphics designer, there are some designs that when you see them, they are very clean. Like you'll be like, wow, this person is so talented, right? So you need to always upskill if you actually know, okay, you're not good at what you do, right? But most importantly, you have a portfolio that cut across different industries. So it is what will actually make you stand out, because you might find yourself um applying to a particular job where, okay, all of you have portfolio. Like they're asking, okay, if you're a graphic designer, send in your portfolio. All of you have it. To now boil down to, okay, who have vast work experiences or more things to showcase on the portfolio, or who have more work experiences across different industries. So that's where it actually comes in. And that kind of thing now, they will not look at how well optimized your LinkedIn profile is. So because it's more about, okay, how good are you with designs? So that is just it basically. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much. I think I have a question from Esther on the chat, in the chat box, but I'm not so clear on the question. It says, how can a company get remote jobs or get jobs from abroad? So, Esther, you might have to rephrase your question because it's not exactly clear.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, while we are waiting for Esther to rephrase her question, and we are almost out of here, in the next 6 minutes, would be out of here. I want to say a very big thank you, Habib. This has been an amazing session. Before you came in, one of the things I told the community is this is not the traditional I hype webinar, but it's a webinar with lots of value where everybody is thinking. And in your presentation, one key take home for me, which we have been discussing equally as a community, is how relevant are you in the current reality? So now that you understand that you are not competing against the people in your neighborhood, people in your locality? How would you stand against global best practice? And I sincerely hope that after this webinar, for all of us, we are going to downplay complaining about things that are not within our control. What are those things that are not in your control, within your control? You can't change the policy. You really can't change, so to say, naira to dollar and all of this. You can just hope for the best in that area. But you can work on your portfolio. You can learn the soft skills. He was very strong, and I've worked with several people across the world. A number of us came in late for this webinar. We just believe that the whole world must stand still for us. And these are the things that do not help people get far in life. I heard Ify ask the question about should I pay for it? And thank you, Habib, for that answer. That was tremendous. Pay for 1 month and see. One of the problems we equally have in this part of the world is we just want everything free. We must learn how to start spending money, saving money, spending money on things that matters. Habib is here now, and I expect that by now all of us are following his handle. We met Habib on Instagram. That is how we met. And that's why I would repeat what I said at the beginning of this session, that this is the best time to be alive. Because we might, how do we contact our speaker after now? Please, can we drop, Kike, please, can you help drop, or Susan, can you help drop Habib's Instagram handle? Or is there any other handle you want them to reach you on, Habib, on the chat so that people can start following you?
Okay.
No, sir. Abidemi, I'm seeing you saying it seems as if this thing is not for oldies. I don't know who oldies are. Oh. I'm not young, oh. But this idea of always evolving, and it starts first with the mind. You have to tell yourself, so what is old? You start asking yourself, what exactly is old? I can learn anything. I can do anything. I literally try to learn something new every day, no matter how small. Whatever you don't know is difficult. 4, 5 years ago, and when I was sharing that on a platform, I think I shared that on the webinar we had last month, that 4, 5 years ago, I didn't understand what Instagram was. I didn't know Zoom. All of these things was absolute Greek to me. I didn't have a LinkedIn account. But when I understood that that is where the world is going to, I sat down and I started looking at it. I started learning it. And it all follows a principle. Once you start, you will be amazed at how easy it is. Habib said one thing, that when they are checking through your portfolio, and Susan said that so many people are applying. So this thing is very easy. Honestly, when you understand the principle, it's the easiest thing in the world. Once people that are doing selection, once they enter a room, they just check, what are others doing that you are not doing? So you yourself, you just ask yourself, once I understood that principle, I just check, what are others doing that I'm not doing? And it's quite simple, because it's the extra on your ordinary that makes you extraordinary. So you that you are saying oldies, that makes it beautiful. So you just look at all the old people. What are old people? The people that come old. So I already have this experience. Maybe you're in bookkeeping. I don't know what you're doing. I already have this experience. I have this, I have that. What is it that I need to put in that will distinguish me from what every other person is doing? And it will shock you that tomorrow they are looking for GM in that your office. They are looking for MD. They are looking for DG. They are looking for, and they are saying that, no, we need somebody that can use ChatGPT. And, okay, they might not necessarily call it, say somebody that uses AI. You've already put there that I have the ability to use AI to do this. Your CV automatically floats on top of every CV. I was in a session with a woman, she's retired, she's 63. She humbled all of us, like she humbled all of us. I quickly contacted her after the session. She was talking and she's like, you people, you will not follow trends, you will not do this. That how many of you know what AI hallucination is? All of us quickly went to Google. I went to ChatGPT. Was there? That's a 63-year-old woman. So it's very easy to stay afloat of things because technology has made it easiest. It has made learning easier. It's 7 o'clock. I don't know if Habib has any last word for us.
Okay, thank you so much for hosting it, guys. And it's really a great thing you guys are doing, raising ethical millionaires, and actually like that, right? So everything begins with a step. And who knows, from getting a remote job, can actually invest in another business, and from there to multiply your source of income, and it becomes better for you as well, right? So I appreciate you guys for what you're doing, and it's me saying goodbye, guys.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
very much, Habib. Okay, Ify, I see your comments, and I think I'll just take it offline with you after this. I'll take it, but just for so let me read Ify's comment. It says, my point for payment is if the payments are valid so that one does not have to lose money or get into fraud. And I understand that. And yes, we take this in other sessions, but let me just drop it for people that are coming in here. There are some level of analysis paralysis that will not let one move forward. And that's why it's important you are working on yourself before now. So it's beyond remote jobs. You would see investment opportunities, you will see learning opportunities, you will see this, you will see that. Are there scammers on the internet? Yes. So the question I see you asking is, how do I differentiate scammers from the real deal? So if I see your follow-up, that is what it is. And I think that is going to really take us out of this session, which is why I said I really love what Habib said. What is the minimum? So I tell people, invest what you can afford to lose. Even though we think this is free, but this is not exactly free. It's costing your time, it's costing your data, it's costing you information. It will shock you. You've heard and you've learned some things that have turned your mind because you're willing to invest that. So what is the minimum amount you are willing to lose? Is it 1 month subscription you're ready to take? Because there are some things that you will never know what is in there until you try it. So what is the minimum that you can put in that if you lose it, you will not die? And you can only ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can actually happen? So if Habib is charging me $10, $5 per month now for subscription, what is the worst thing that can happen? I go for it and I don't get value. Or I go for it, I 10x, I 50x, I 100x. And what will $5 do to me? So you weigh all of those things. And equally, remember that, as I said, everybody right now has their portfolios. So you've sat down, you are looking at him, you are looking at what he's posting, you are looking at his write-up. Is it something you are comfortable with? Is it something you are able to invest money on? Because a lot of these things is neither yes nor no. So you yourself, you have to be able to look at people's website, look at what resonates with you, who are the people he says he has worked with before, go and check those people's profiles. Are you okay with those people's profiles? So Habib says he has been on Read platform. What do they do there? Who are the other people? Who are the people that have been confident enough to bring him in? I hope that expands it a bit. And with that, I want to hand over to Susan so that we can close up for the night.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Habib. It's been such an insightful session. Without further ado, we have to close up now, but to round up, please, in the chat room, just appreciate our speaker. It's been wonderful, practical ways to actually build a remote job career, you know. And if there's something I know that also stood out for me was the fact that you don't always have to have a job at hand to update or upgrade your portfolio. You know, even anything you're doing as a voiceover artist, whatever you're doing, you can take samples and just, you know, create something so that you get better. It's not just enough to say, okay, I'm upskilling. People need to see what you can do. And yes, you might not get the job immediately, but you have to show that you can do it. So thank you so much, Habib. It's been wonderful. And with a warm, yes, people are saying thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for expertise. Thank you for accepting to come on the webinar. We are truly grateful. Please, everyone, please ensure that you're following Read on all our social media platforms. So where we drop tips, information, and everything. So please follow us. And can we unmute our mics and say a very warm thank you to Mr. Habib? 1, 2, go.
Thank you, Habib. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
you.
So much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.